The Crimson Awakening, the Vecthory Empire, had ruled the galaxy for over 10,000 years. Their crimson ships had swept across star systems like a plague, enslaving entire civilizations and harvesting resources from countless worlds. They were ancient, powerful, and utterly convinced of their superiority. So when their deep space sensors detected a small blue planet on the outer rim of an unremarkable spiral galaxy, they barely gave it a second thought. Earth was nothing special to them. The third planet, orbiting a yellow star, inhabited by a species that had barely begun to explore their own solar system. The Vecthory had conquered thousands of such worlds. This would be no different. Overlord Zithkar stood in the command chamber of his flagship, the Crimson Dominion, studying the holographic display of Earth. His four arms moved gracefully as he manipulated the data streams, his scaled skin shimmering under the red lighting of the bridge. At nearly 8 feet tall, with eyes like burning coals, he was an imposing figure even among his own kind. Insignificant, he hissed to his aide, Commander Vakdosh. These humans possess primitive technology. No energy shields, no plasma weapons, no faster-than-light capability worth mentioning. They will submit within hours of our arrival. Vakdosh est. Mandibles clicked nervously. My lord, should we perhaps study them further? Their radio transmissions suggest they are fractious. Many nations, constant conflict among themselves. Zithkar's laugh was like grinding metal. Even better. Divided, they fall easier. Send the standard ultimatum. 3 days to surrender unconditionally or face annihilation. The message was transmitted across space using quantum entanglement communicators, reaching Earth in mere minutes. Every screen, every radio, every communication device on the planet suddenly carried the same message in perfect translation. People of Earth, you are now subjects of the Vecthory Empire. You have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. Lay down all weapons. Prepare for occupation. Resistance will result in the complete sterilization of your world. This is your only warning. The reaction on Earth was immediate and chaotic. Emergency sessions were called in every capital. The United Nations held an unprecedented emergency assembly. Religious leaders prayed, scientists calculated, and military commanders planned. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth faced the same existential threat. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the war room deep beneath NORAD, surrounded by screens showing the frantic activity across the globe. At 55, she had spent her entire career preparing for conflicts she had hoped would never come. Now, facing the ultimate test, she felt oddly calm. Status report, she commanded. All nuclear powers have confirmed readiness, reported General Martinez. The space defense grid is fully operational. Project Prometheus has been activated. Chen nodded grimly. For 30 years, since the first confirmed UFO encounters, a secret international coalition had been preparing for this moment. While the world watched traditional conflicts, humanity's brightest minds had been developing weapons and strategies for an enemy from the stars. Dr. Marcus Webb, the project's chief scientist, looked up from his quantum computer array. Admiral, we've analyzed their transmission method. It's using technology based on principles we've been theorizing about for decades. If they're arrogant enough to keep that channel open, then we can trace it back to them, Chen finished. How long do we have? Their ultimatum gives us 72 hours. But if they're following standard siege protocols from what we've observed in other systems, they'll likely position themselves just outside our gravity well and wait for surrender. They won't expect resistance. Meanwhile, Across the globe, something unprecedented was happening. For the first time in recorded history, humanity was truly united. The ancient divisions of race, religion, and nationality seemed suddenly trivial when faced with extinction. Factory workers in Detroit worked alongside engineers in Tokyo. Farmers in Kenya shared resources with scientists in Switzerland. Every human being on Earth understood the same truth. Surrender meant slavery. Resistance meant survival. The 72 hours passed like a storm. When Earth's response came, it was delivered simultaneously in every language, broadcast on every frequency, sent through every medium humanity possessed. To the Vectary Empire, we are humanity. We do not surrender. We do not submit. Come and try to take our world. You will find we are not as primitive as you believe. Zithkar's eyes blazed as he received the message. No species had ever dared to refuse the Empire's ultimatum. In 10,000 years of conquest, this was a first. Activate the Crimson Gate, he snarled. The gate technology was ancient, predating even the Vectary Empire. Massive ring structures that could tear holes in space-time itself, allowing instant travel across vast distances. The Vectary had found them abandoned on dead worlds and reverse-engineered them into the ultimate tool of conquest. The gate materialized at the edge of Earth's solar system. A crimson ring of energy 3 kilometers in diameter. Space itself seemed to scream as reality was torn open. Through the portal came the Vectary fleet, 500 warships, each one capable of glassing a continent. But Earth was ready. The moment the first Vectary ship emerged from the gate, it was met not by surrender, but by fire. Hidden weapon platforms throughout the solar system came online. Kinetic kill vehicles, accelerated to near-light speed, slammed into the alien fleet. Nuclear-pumped X-ray lasers carved through their energy shields. Relativistic projectiles, launched from rail guns on the moon, punched through ship after ship. Zithkar watched in disbelief as his vanguard was decimated within minutes. Impossible. They're primitives. How do they possess such weapons? The answer came in the form of Earth's own ships, rising from hidden bases across the solar system. They were smaller than the Vectary vessels, more angular, built for speed and precision rather than intimidation. But they moved with deadly purpose, their weapons systems more advanced than anything the Vectary had encountered in centuries. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Terran Defiant, Earth's flagship, watching the battle unfold. Dr. Webb, are you getting readings on their gate technology? Yes, Admiral. It's remarkable. The energy patterns suggest it's drawing power from subspace itself. But there's something else. The gate seems to be locked onto specific quantum signatures. If we could capture one of their controlled nodes, Captain Rodriguez Chung called to her strike team leader. You heard the doctor. We need a prisoner. Captain Elena Rodriguez smiled grimly. On our way, Admiral. The tide of battle turned rapidly. The Vectary, accustomed to easy victories against primitive species, found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned by humans who had spent decades preparing for this exact scenario. Their advanced technology was countered by human ingenuity and desperate determination. When the surviving Vectary ships tried to retreat through the gate, they found their path blocked by human vessels. For the first time in their empire's history, they were trapped. But humanity wasn't content with defense. As the last Vectary ship was disabled and boarded, Admiral Chen made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. All ships, prepare for pursuit. We're going through the gate. The command stunned both human and alien alike. No species had ever followed the Vecturi through their own portals. The gates were one-way passages to conquest, not invasion routes for primitive. Yet, as the crimson energy swirled, Earth's fleet advanced into the portal. Behind them, automated systems began broadcasting a message that would echo across the galaxy. You opened the gate. Now it won't close. The eternal hunt, the transition through the Crimson Gate, felt like being torn apart and reassembled at the molecular level. Captain Elena Rodriguez gripped her command chair as the Storm Runner emerged into Vecturi space. Her strike force spread out in perfect formation behind her. What they found defied every expectation. The Vecturi home system was a monument to 10 millennia of conquest. Dozens of worlds orbited the massive red star, each one transformed into either an industrial complex or a pleasure world for the ruling class. Massive space stations connected by energy bridges formed a web across the system. It was beautiful, terrible, and utterly unprepared for invasion. "Impossible," whispered Overlord Zithkar from his damaged command ship. "No species follows through the gate. It has never happened." Dr. Webb's voice crackled over the communication system from his mobile laboratory ship. "Admiral Chen, you need to see this. The gate technology isn't just about travel. It's connected to their entire infrastructure. Every slave world, every conquered system, it's all linked through a quantum network." Admiral Chen studied the readings flowing across her screens. After 30 years of military service, she had learned to see the bigger picture quickly. "Doctor, are you saying what I think you're saying?" "Yes, Admiral. If we can seize control of their gate network, we can reach every enslaved world in their empire simultaneously." The implications were staggering. The Vecturi Empire hadn't just given humanity access to their home system. They had opened a doorway to every world they had ever conquered. The battle for the Vecturi home system began immediately. Their defense fleets, rushed from patrol duties across the galaxy, were technologically superior but tactically unprepared. For 10,000 years, they had only fought from positions of overwhelming strength against primitive enemies. They had never faced an opponent who fought back with equal determination and superior strategy. Human ships moved through the system like wolves among sheep. While the main fleet engaged the Vecturi defenders, Rodriguez led surgical strikes against key infrastructure targets, power stations, communication hubs, and most importantly, gate control centers. The breakthrough came when they captured the primary gate control facility on Vecturi Prime, the Empire's capital world. The massive structure, built into the side of a mountain and defended by energy shields that had never been tested in battle, fell to a coordinated assault that combined human tactical brilliance with stolen Vecturi technology. Dr. Webb worked frantically in the captured facility, his fingers flying over alien control systems, while his portable quantum computers translated and analyzed the data streams. "Admiral, this is incredible. The entire network is controlled from here. Every gate, every enslaved world, every trade route, it's all accessible from this location. Can you take control of it? Already working on it." "But Admiral, there's something else. The network is designed with safeguards. Once it's activated from this central hub, it can't be shut down remotely. The ancient builders who created this technology built it to be permanent." Chen smiled grimly. "Then we'll make sure it serves a better purpose." What followed was the greatest liberation campaign in galactic history. Using the Vecturi's own gate network, human ships emerged simultaneously in dozens of enslaved systems. Species that had labored under alien oppression for centuries suddenly found themselves free as human forces destroyed Vectri garrisons and supply lines on the industrial world of Kepler-4 for to be enslaved. Theronians watched in amazement as human soldiers fought alongside them, providing weapons and tactical support. Captain Rodriguez herself led the assault on the main prison complex, her marines moving with deadly precision through corridors designed for creatures twice their size. "Why do you help us?" asked Krelon, a Theronian engineer who had spent 40 years in bondage. "Your species owes us nothing." Rodriguez paused in the middle of distributing captured Vectri weapons to freed prisoners. "Because it's the right thing to do. Because nobody should live in chains. Because that's what makes us human." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on world after world. The Vectri Empire, built on the assumption that conquered species would remain passive, crumbled as rebellion spread faster than their forces could respond. Their communication network, compromised by human cyber warfare specialists, carried messages of freedom instead of oppression. Back on Vectri Prime, Overlord Zithkar made one final desperate attempt to regain control, leading the last loyal fleet in a direct assault on the Gate Control Center. He hoped to at least deny the humans their prize. Admiral Chen met him in battle personally, the Terran Defiant facing the massive Crimson Dominion in single combat while their fleets engaged around them. The battle was brutal. Weapons that could crack planets exchanging fire at point-blank range. In the end, it came down to will. The Vectri had ruled through fear and superior technology for millennia. They had never needed to develop the desperate creativity that comes from fighting for survival. When Zithkar's ship finally broke apart under sustained fire, his last transmission was a plea for mercy that would never come. "Please," he gasped over the communications channel, "end this. Close the gates. Return to your world. We will leave you in peace." Chun's response echoed across every Vectri frequency, carried by their own communication network to every corner of their former empire. "You shouldn't have opened the gate." The final phase of the campaign was not conquest, but reconstruction. Humanity had never sought an empire of their own. Instead, they worked with the freed species to establish a new galactic order based on cooperation rather than domination. The Gate Network, now permanently active and under human protection, became a tool for trade, communication, and mutual defense. Dr. Webb established the Institute for Galactic Sciences on the former Vectri capital, working with alien researchers to understand and improve the ancient technology. Former slaves became partners in building a new civilization that spanned the stars. Years later, as peace settled across the galaxy, a monument was erected at the site of the original Crimson Gate. It bore a simple inscription in dozens of languages. Here stood the gate that the Vectri opened, believing they would conquer humanity. Instead, they awakened something they could never understand. The gate remains open not as a tool of conquest, but as a promise. To all who would oppress the innocent, to all who would enslave the free, to all who would mistake compassion for weakness. We are humanity. We do not forget, we do not forgive, and we never surrender. The galaxy had learned the most important lesson about humanity. They were not the strongest species, nor the most technologically advanced, but they possessed something that no amount of technology could replicate, an unbreakable will to fight for what was right, no matter the cost. The gate remained open, not as a weapon, but as a warning, and across the stars, that warning was heeded. Asterisk.